India-China standoff is escalating. Celebrities, social media influencers are vowing to uninstall Chinese apps and reduce the usage of Chinese goods. But is a complete rejection of made-in-China products even possible? We'll do a deep dive on our show this evening. Here's our lead story.
Boycott Chinese products. That's the top trend in India. Educator and innovator Sonam Wangchuk created massive buzz online after calling for a complete rejection of Chinese goods.
अब हमें जवाब देना होगा और जवाब हमें अपने हाथों में लेके वॉलेट पावर से देना होगा और ये कोई गलत या बुरी बात भी नहीं है। सैंक्शंस सदा प्रयोग किए जाते हैं जब भी कोई गलत करता है, वो चाहे देश हो। उत्तरी कोरिया पर सैंक्शंस लगाते हैं देश, तो हम क्या अपने पर्सनल इकोनॉमिक सैंक्शंस नहीं लगा सकते इन देशों पर? और बॉयकॉट करना कोई नई बात भी नहीं है। आपने सुना होगा स्वदेशी मूवमेंट, बॉयकॉट मूवमेंट तिलक जी के नेतृत्व में 1905 से शुरू हुई थी ब्रिटिश सरकार के खिलाफ बॉयकॉट का।
From uninstalling TikTok to not using Chinese goods in tech, Wangchuk's boycott China call went viral, with several celebrities joining the chorus.
People who endorses this, celebrities, they endorses Chinese products. They're doing it for money. At least they don't have to endorse and advertise it. And then, consumers who are their fans, will look at their, Bollywood or whatever idol, and then they say, oh, if my idol is saying this, then maybe I should go and buy it. So it's the celebrities, I think, if they start with not endorsing it for money, then it will live somewhere.
A big Chinese presence in India is in form of TikTok, which has more than 200 million subscribers and has overtaken YouTube in the Indian market. As India-China border tensions escalated, TikTok took off this video of comic Saloni Gaur.
बाबा ये चाइना कैसे नहीं मान रहा है? नहीं मतलब हम चिपचाप लिए जा रहे हैं तो कुछ भी भेजे जा रही है। पहले अपना अजीनोमोटो वाला खाना बेच के हमारी आंतें खराब कराई, फिर सस्ता फोन और टिकटॉक बेच के हमारा यूथ बर्बाद कर दिया, फिर ये कोरोना बेच के पूरा देश बंद करा दिया और अब सब धीरे धीरे सही हो ही रहा तो इन्हें हमारी जमीन चाहिए।
But reinstated it after outrage. Saloni now says she won't be going back to the Chinese social media platform.
I think I'll not be putting any content there now. I think I won't be using it because, when I saw that Sonam Wangchuk's video, he was correct. I totally agree with him that we should, reduce our dependency on all of these Chinese products. Slowly, we can move towards that because there is no harm in being a little self-reliant.
But is boycotting everything made in China possible? From electronics to pharma, most Indian industries rely on raw material coming from China. In 2018-19, India's trade with China stood at over $840,000 million. That's around 10% of India's total trade. Imports alone were valued at close to over $70,000 million, which is about 14% of total imports. And India exported goods worth nearly 17,000 million. That's about 5% of total exports. With no end to the Ladakh-China standoff, has time come to hit back at China? Not with the bullet, but with the wallet. Bureau Report, India Today.
It's TikTok which has really exploded, especially in the smaller cities and towns of India. And we spoke to some TikTok stars to see if they were okay with supporting the cause of boycotting Chinese products. Here's what they had to say.
चाइना में बनी हुई चीज़ों का बिल्कुल बहिष्कार करना चाहिए क्योंकि हमारे देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को मजबूत बनाने के लिए हमारे देश में बनी हुई स्वदेशी चीज़ों का हमें उपयोग में लाना चाहिए ताकि हमारी अर्थव्यवस्था फिर से मजबूत हो पाए।
मेरा मानना ये है, भले ही टिकटॉक से मैं फेमस हुई हूँ, फिर भी अगर चाइनीज़ सामानों से, चीज़ों से अगर हमारे भारत को नुकसान पहुँच रहा है तो हम लोगों को उस चाइनीज़ सामानों से दूर ही रहना बेहतर है।
Okay, so one is to say that we should boycott Chinese products, but can we actually do it? We hope to do a deep dive over the next 30 odd minutes. Joining me on this broadcast is Samir Kochhar. He's the chairperson of the Scotch Group. It's a development think tank, and he's a public policy expert. With us also on this broadcast is General G.D. Bakshi. Can we weaponize trade? I hope to get into that aspect with General Bakshi. Santosh Pai joins us. He's an honorary fellow at the Institute of Chinese Studies. He's a member of the CII core group for China. He's an expert in cross-border investments between India and China. So let's get started. Now I want to go across first to Samir Kochhar to understand from him why he so strongly believes that not just would this be a nationalistic, patriotic cause, but also something which could fire up the Indian economic engine and therefore should be pursued post-haste. Samir Kochhar, let's start with you.
Yeah, Rahul, I think it's become fashionable to boycott China only after COVID and the border standoff. But the point is, we've been kind of opposing this and asking for protecting Indian turf for several years now. The problem essentially goes back to WTO, where, lock, stock and barrel, we decided that a manufacturing nation like India would fall into the trap of becoming a trading nation, where even the larger brands in India, even corporate India, has shifted their manufacturing capacity to China and have just stamped made in, just the brand name on top of that. So I think it's a very serious issue, and it's an issue that goes back many, many years. And it's just that the COVID crisis and the changing patterns thereafter is giving us an opportune moment to rebalance and recalibrate our act. There is the four-pronged thing that is required. First is reducing dependence. Second is taking advantage of the changing consumption and economic patterns that are going to take place. The third is breaking the stranglehold of electronics. And finally, spinning investments more carefully.
Okay, so the person who really kick-started this entire cause is Sonam Wangchuk, engineer, innovator, education reformist. You know him as the man who inspired the movie Three Idiots. Sonam Wangchuk, you put out a video, it's got viral, and how? Is this the kind of response you anticipated, and why is it that you're so convinced from your gut that the time has come, not just because we want to get local about vocal, we don't want to get vocal about local, but because we want to send out a very strong message that all of India will rally to the cause of boycotting made in China products? Sonam, welcome.
Hi, namaste. So I've been seeing this, pushiness of China on the Ladakh borders for decades, and I've been really upset with that. But now is the right time in every way, because globally there's a lot of sentiments against China for how it has been behaving, giving the disease and then doing all these on top, whether it is in the South China Sea or here in Ladakh. And in India, we are facing this aggression, and therefore people are concerned and they are looking at what they could do, although most of the times we leave it to the soldiers on the border. But this is one time when citizens can do a lot. This is just the right time, because if India leads by showing the world that you can have personal economic sanctions, not even government, personal economic sanctions as, customers who we say are the kings. So we, businesses depend on us rather than us depending on them. And if we lead enough of people to actually boycotting Chinese-made products, that will send a very strong signal to China. And believe me, they fear more this signal than even the soldiers at the border, because their economy dwindling means unrest and revolt within China. The only reason why Chinese people who are silent, despite all the lack of freedom, rights, and so on, is the prosperity. And if that is dented, what it fears most can happen, and therefore it will come to discussion tables. So this couldn't have been a better time than this.
Einar Tenjin in Beijing. Sonam Wangchuk has led this call. It's being supported by literally lakhs of people all across the country who are rallying to the cause of boycott China. You mess with us, army will deal with you, but what we can also do is stop using Chinese products. And at that time, this question will be asked, how does it make sense for Beijing and the powers that be in China to continue to be aggressive and adventurous on the border when there's so much trade at stake? Einar Thenjin, welcome. Your perspective on this.
India-China trade, in terms of exports to China, India represents 2.4%. The amount of goods being sent from India to China is about 5% of your total exports. So basically, you're throwing both away, because it's unlikely that if India boycotts Chinese goods, that there wouldn't be a similar reaction in terms of Indian goods. So this will make both countries poor. I don't know that this helps anything. We're facing a very, very terrible pandemic. There are going to be economic consequences. To replace what China provides, you're going to have a lot of investment, and that's going to be very difficult in a world that's saddled with $250 and counting trillion in debt. So rather than try to jump to conclusions, I think it would be very good if India said, look, we want to develop our areas. We don't want to be dependent on any country, but you want to have trade. Remember, it was during the 60s and 70s that India decided they wanted to go it alone. They wanted to be self-sufficient. But in fact, you got left behind. I don't know that model has worked. So you might want to question why it works today, other than this kind of broad assumption that everybody hates China. I think that's mostly being pushed by the U.S., and it's mostly on foreign policy.
Actually, it's got very little to do with the United States, sir. It's got to do with the reality that the Chinese army, despite all the talk about the spirit of Wuhan, the bonhomie and the bromance between our Prime Minister and the Chinese President, is continuing to be adventurous along the border, which is what is poisoning the minds of the Indian people when they see images of our soldiers locked in battle with the Chinese army. They're saying, why should we want to be friends with people who want to fight with us? You want to fight? Let's fight straight.
Well, I understand that's your position. The Chinese would say that there were high-ranking members of the Indian government who made statements that they were going to reclaim this land, and then there was a road being built, and they saw that as provocation. So when you have an area that's under dispute, when one group does something unilaterally, the other one responds. So it's not surprising. But given that your government does not see this as a big impediment, that they are sitting down and trying to figure out exactly how to do this, that they've been at this since 1962 and are very aware of how to deal with each other, I think it's a bit of overreaction to try to foist more costs onto Indian consumers. I just don't know how that would happen.
Sonam Wangchuk, do you want to respond to this concern that at least in the short to medium term, products that are imported from China will be in scarce supply and prices could go up and Indian customers may have to pay? Do you want to respond to the concern put out by the guest from China?
But I would first like to say that it's a pattern that we are seeing. How could, if China say that Indians, instigated at the borders, we see that it had differences or rough differences with Vietnam, with Taiwan, with US, and with India in the months when COVID was at its peak. So it couldn't be that all these nations were aggressive to China. It only means that China was aggressive to all this. My conclusion is that China has a lot of issues within because of how the government handled the pandemic. There's a lot of unrest, and that public unrest is what China fears most, more than neighbors like India or others in the South China Sea. So if it is doing it to cover its economic challenges and its people, then that's what we should handle by further hitting it where it hurts most. And it's not just China or the proportion of trade that China has. Mind you, India is a huge country and China can see what it can be in the future. But India can spark a landslide of similar action from around the world. And consumers have a lot of power when they levy economic sanctions. So it can hurt China a lot if we do it resolutely and beyond Indian borders. And
Okay,
that's
so you're
what I
calling
think.
for a
But
global
India-
boycott of Chinese goods, and there are so many countries at this time that are being threatened by China, and if it becomes a global movement, then there will be internal instability in China, and that's what the communist leadership fears the most. General G.D. Bakshi, let's get a military perspective from you. Has the time come to weaponize trade, to let the Chinese know, not just will our army come and get you, we will also stop buying your products, and this 1.3 billion people's market that you eye will no longer be welcome for any made in China product?
Look, Rahul, I agree with the other panelists that this should have been done long ago. We have a demographic youth dividend. The most scarce commodity in this country is jobs. And the situation has been worst compounded by this corona pandemic. The simple fact is that we have to create jobs. We cannot let China dump its cheap goods and destroy our micro, medium, small scale sectors, which are the greatest job producers. For a long time, I have also been on various fora advocating that we stop buying Chinese. If the government cannot do it, the consumer in India is under no WTO obligation to buy from China. He can give preference to Indian manufacture, which I'm sure quality-wise will be better, because the kind of goods that China pushes to third world markets is very cheap, very prone to breakdowns and defects.
Okay, so
I
we've
think
heard
if we
the
encourage
let's
our own
boycott
sector-
China argument. I want to bring in the contra argument as well. And we've got two guests to make that argument. Devanshu Datta is a well-known author and columnist. Santosh Pai is with the Institute of Chinese Studies. And I want to go across to Devanshu Datta first. Why is it, Mr. Datta, that you believe that this idea of boycott Make in China is a stillborn idea?
I don't think it's stillborn. I think it would be stupid. You'd be shooting yourself not even in the foot, in the head. Like it or not, China happens to control about 95 or 99% of the rare earths market. You cannot have electronics or renewable power without rare earth. So you have a problem there. You don't have to love the Chinese. In fact, I'm perfectly comfortable with people not loving the Chinese. Nobody loves the Chinese. But you buy their goods because their goods happen to be of fairly high quality and at fairly good prices. They spent 50 years developing those capacities, and they have the natural resources. Getting back to rare earths, we don't have the natural resources, and 50 years down the line, our demographic dividend will either be dead or very, very old.
But
spend your money
Santosh Pai,
on the things you can specialize in, the things Indians are good in doing. Don't spend your money trying to develop second-class, more expensive goods that other people can produce cheaper.
no, so I get your argument about rare earth minerals, etc., which India may not have access to, and therefore, to that extent, you're dependent on China. But even agarbattis, diyas, Diwali crackers, there's so many things which we can substitute and do it very easily, and it will lead to job creation, Santosh Pai, in India. Why should we not, for products where we can consciously say, regardless of what the government says, this is a people's movement, we will boycott all made in China products?
Yes, Rahul, I agree with the positive sentiment that is self-reliance, as Prime Minister Modi has made it very clear that this is a good time for us to reflect on why can't we be more self-reliant, and that necessarily will involve reducing our dependency in China. So these are all positive ideas. But I would like to point out that to realize these goals, what Mr. Sonam Wangchuk has wonderfully promulgated, you need a lot of positive action. And on the industry side, at the company level, a lot of complex trends are developing. We have been trying to reduce our dependency on China through a combination of policies. One is to reduce the trade deficit, to allow Indian companies to export more to China so that the deficit is reduced. And we are also forcing the Chinese to come and manufacture in China, in India. In fact, Sonam Wangchuk also mentioned that he's planning to give up use of Chinese mobile phones. So I would like to point out that one of the successes of Make in India has been the phased manufacturing program, which has forced the Chinese manufacturers to localize most of the production in India.
No, but all the key products, the chips are still not made in India. So you bring in essentially completely knocked down kits or semi-knocked down kits, and the key components, the Dragon still keeps access to the technology and doesn't share that with India. So how does that help really?
So it's a work in progress. These things take a long time. So that's why I'm saying there are a lot of positive actions required. We need to take it further so that even the high value added components also are manufactured in India. So we need to reflect on what does self-reliance mean. Does it mean Indian companies should manufacture in China? That's fine. Let's pursue it. Does it mean we have to force Chinese companies to manufacture in India so that they create jobs? In fact, all these mobile phone companies now employ thousands of Indian employees. So we need to get clarity and we need to back it up with positive action. So today, as your other panelists have said, there is a negative sentiment as backlash against China. So it can act as a catalyst for us to move from plain slogans to positive actions. And somewhere down the line, India will become more self-reliant. It will reduce its dependency on China. And
Sonam Wangchuk, you want to respond to this concern that the one way to do it is to push Chinese companies to make in India. Say, we won't buy made in China products. You want to sell your products to the Indian market, including cheap Chinese phones. Come make them in India. Don't just assemble in India, but from the chip upwards, every single product has to be made in India.
Well, that I would say in the best of circumstances, when you have a friendly relation as a friendly business partner, I would do that. But if there was aggression on the border like this, I wouldn't even do that. But generally, yes, I would try and do everything to make business profitable in India's favor. Not only Chinese companies should come out of China, but other countries who are considering coming out of China, we should make the environment right. That's why I say this is just the best time for India to develop itself. We must get our act together. So therefore, we have to do as much to improve the quality and efficiency and maybe learn from China. We have to ultimately make sure that things get better by acting
smartly. No, but Samir Kochhar, here's my argument. You look for perfection when it comes to ideal conditions for manufacturing. Chances are you'll never find it. If you say, we will henceforth, if customers start saying, we will henceforth not buy Chinese products, then you speed up the process of change. You force every company to start manufacturing in India, because if it's not, then we won't buy that product.
One of the things I think that is missing from this debate is that we are looking at economy post-COVID from the prism of pre-COVID economy and the trade also in the same thing. The fact is that the global economy is going to contract more than 8%, and most of that impact is going to go on to China. So I don't know who's going to shoot themselves in the foot or the head. It's certainly not India. That's one thing. The second thing is that if there is a pushback from the users, which is fairly apparent already, they say from no to TikTok, to no to Hello, to no, don't use Chinese apps, don't use Chinese video conferencing. The government has to do nothing. I mean, the user itself and the demand itself will ensure that the Chinese product goes down. And if you look at why the ideal conditions are not there in India, because I think the WTO push towards signing WTO actually came from the big corporate in India. The turning of India from manufacturing for smaller items into a trader, it also came from big India. So I think the big corporate in India is actually ready to be blamed for how China came in and kind of wiped off our MSME sector. And India's MSME sector can certainly do this. We can.
No, so Devanshu, respond to the argument that Samir Kochhar makes, and I tend to buy that. You're saying this is like shooting yourself in the head. I'm not sure. If you say, especially for small and a product which can be manufactured in India, we will start doing it. Small companies of the kind that Samir works with will benefit. There will be jobs created in India. Go on, Devanshu.
Can you offer the equivalent product at the same price range? If you can, then fine, do it. If you can't, then you're taking money from an Indian investor and consumer who might otherwise put the money into something that Indians are good at doing. My point is, we have very limited investments. We have very limited investment capital. Most of that capital comes from the households. If that money is being spent buying shoddy more expensive goods. It is not being put into things Indians are good at doing. We should make sure that we...
No, but what was China good at,
specialize
Devanshu?
and we-
30, 40
excuse
years
me.
ago, what was China good at making? They built capacities. You back a
Rahul,
nation,
can
you
I
build
also
capacities.
contribute?
The point, Rahul, the point is they started 40 years ago. 40 years ago, the greatest doctor in the world was a kid who knew nothing about medicine. He started 40 years ago. If we start now, our demographic dividend will be 65 years old before we can get there.
No, our median
There's
age
no
is
point in
27.
doing
Why
that.
will it
Do
take
the
30
things you're
years?
already good at.
Devanshu, why will it take 30 years for India to develop capacity? Why can't it
Do
be
the
done
things
faster?
you're already good at, Rahul. You don't tell Virat Kohli, go out there and start bowling. He's good at batting, you let him bat. That's the argument I'm making.
General
India is
D.D.
good at
Bakshi
doing
wants to
certain
come in and
things, you put the
respond
money
to
into that.
Devanshu, you're
Sorry?
saying products will become costlier. You're saying it will take a lot of time. Our demographic dividend would be a disaster. General Bakshi wants to respond to Devanshu. General Bakshi, go for it.
You know, Rahul, this is the precise argument because of which we have been importing defense equipment to the tune of 70% for the last 73 years. Because nobody would let you begin. Nobody would let you begin. There is a paradigm shift now taking place post-COVID. World supply chains are being reoriented. This is the time, if you don't do it, you will never do it. You will always keep buying from abroad. And you have to give jobs to your people. As it is, you know, we had to create 100 million new jobs. Instead of creating new jobs, this corona has destroyed the existing jobs. In this kind of a situation, if you want to offshore your jobs to China, I'm afraid you are shooting ourselves in the head.
You know, respond to that. He's
You are
accusing
shooting
you
ourselves in the
and the
head.
mindset
I
you
don't
hold,
want to
Devanshu
offshore
Datta,
anything, sir.
of shooting India
I
in
don't
the
want
head.
to offshore anything. I'm just saying, do your jobs in the places which you are already good at. Don't.
So how
don't
much
try
effort
and
does it take to
specialize.
make a
that you will
diya
have to
or an
open up.
agarbatti or a tube light? Why can't that kind of stuff happen in India? Why can't we have faith in the Indian ability
Tube
to
lights,
manufacture?
because there is a tube light.
Electric lightings for Diwali?
Some of that, yes, certainly should be done in India.
So can I take our viewers
sure we
through
can
what
do it
we
equally
import
well.
from China? One second, this is important. So electrical and electronic equipment to the tune of about 19.97 billion. Machinery, nuclear reactors and boilers, and even if I buy the argument that some of this may be high-tech stuff which we can't immediately manufacture, soon after that are fertilizers. Why can't we do fertilizers in India? Then there is optical, photo, medical apparatus. Why can't we do that in India? Iron and steel. Why are we, in a colonial sense, sending our raw material virtually in the same way as we did with the British Empire to China for them to manufacture? Furniture, lighting signs, prefabricated buildings, toys, games, sports requisites to the tune of 400 million. Now, Devanshu, toys, games, sports.
I agree. These things, you need to change the environment here so that you can manufacture them here. Again, then you need to look inward. Why is it that it is so difficult to run a manufacturing business in India? Look at your labor laws, look at the rest of the red tape.
No,
which
so
goes up,
respond. Sure,
factories
those are
and
good
process.
points.
By all
And
means.
try and deal with that. Try and deal with that. There's no dispute,
Sure.
but send the message to Beijing that we will not be messed with. You covet our market.
That would-
if
that
your
would-
army
that would
comes
send
and
the message,
transgresses
huh?
into our land, we will not buy Chinese products. Why should we?
Because they make better products than we do. That's the simple answer.
But that's at this
It's
moment.
the day we can make better products, or at least
It's a chicken and egg
at least
situation,
as good
Devanshu. It's a
products,
chicken
we
and egg
won't be buying
situation.
their stuff.
When, if you keep importing from them, if you keep depending on them, when will the day come when you make products better than them? You stop doing this for 3 years, soon you'll be competitive. And as the global value chain is being reordered,
it wouldn't be
more and
3
more
years,
companies
it'll
want
be
to
a
have a
little longer than
China
that.
plus one supply chain. Many of those companies might want to come to India.
They might, if you change your laws and regulations, by all means, they might, yes.
No, so that's what we have
You
to
need
Sonam
to look
Wangshu work
inwards.
on. It's very clear, there is absolute clarity. That is the direction in which we need to go. Mr. Wangshu.
Yeah, so I think generally it is difficult to catch up and make a head start, but this is just the right time when China is misbehaving. There's global sentiments against it. There are countries considering coming out of it. Indian population is directly affected by aggression. What better opportunity do you want than this to start up your own process?
Agreed.
Any other time it will be much more difficult.
Samir Kochar, the other question that will be asked
you can do a lot of things.
Oh, absolutely, and we should. What happens to Indian companies into which Chinese have invested money? There's Snapdeal, which has about 700 million of investment, Ola about 500 million, Swiggy at about 500 million, Paytm 400 million, Flipkart 300 million, Big Basket 250 million, Zomato 200 million, Dream11 150 million, Hike 150 million, Paytm Mall 150 million, Oyo 100 million, Udaan 100 million, Byju's 50 million, Rivigo 25 million. So what happens to all these? And these are like the marquee names of the startup ecosystem, and they've got pretty substantial Chinese investments as well. What happens to those, Samir Kochar?
Yeah, so all this is what makes the argument fly in their face. There's two arguments they're using, that India cannot match the quality and India cannot match the price point. Now, what they have done is that they've taken over our high-tech sector, our app sector, our e-commerce sector with cash-burning models. They've got deep pockets. You are saying India cannot make a price point. China is selling below cost. The currency is regulated. The market is regulated. You're giving billions of dollars to your Indian stooges that you've invested in to shortchange our retailers and our manufacturers and make sure that they're not competitive at all. You talk about poor Indian quality. I remember a refrigerator my father had lasted 30 years, made in India. My air conditioner used to last 25, 30 years versus your Chinese products that last 6 years, 7 years, and they're not even serviceable. So who's pushed us in that direction? I'm sorry, it is you guys. And now you're trying to colonize our IT sector and tech sector and even our social sector with TikTok and Hello and promoting violence against women and
and the bizarre thing is that on some of these websites, there's been on these Chinese-owned, that's why I want to go across GD Bakshi, General Bakshi, on these Chinese-owned social media sites like TikTok, there's been a surfeit of pro-PLA propaganda. So you've got Indian customers, they have dubious ownership linkages, many of which go back, in the case of a company like Huawei, to the Chinese Communist Party, and whenever they want, whenever there's tension on the border, you've got a captive market, unleash psychological operations propaganda. There's a full psyops war going on these social media platforms owned by the Chinese. General Bakshi.
Rahul, one of the primary planks of the Chinese is information warfare, media warfare, legal warfare, and all that is actualized through, captive networks that you are getting in the other country. You are building databases on customer preferences, you are spying on people. The best intelligence network collection methodology today is to have them, on your Facebook, on your TikTok, on your Twitter, etc. And those companies collect the databases which are handed on to intelligence agencies. We should have seen this coming long back. We were insisting that we concentrated only on software. At that time, China had no head start over us in IC chips manufacture. If we had started at that time, today, where would we have been? Today, the biggest danger is a chip from a foreign country. I don't know what are the Mickey Mouses in that chip. We have to do our own chip manufacture, and we are almost spending as much on these chips as we are on our oil.
And our Tenjin, you see what's happened? Because of the actions of the PLA, the relations between two of the biggest countries in the world, two of the most important countries in the world, have been completely poisoned. Every single person in my newsroom who I spoke to about this show since the morning, and everyone who's responded to the poll that we put out on social media, 80% of Indians support the idea that we must boycott Chinese products.
Rahul, I understand that there's a strong emotional reaction, but you do, at some point, you do have to listen to reason, and you have to do things in ways. China is not opposed to India growing stronger. In fact, that would be better. It would cement this kind of post-colonial world, hopefully, that will emerge. So right now, I've been listening to some of the things that have been said, something about chips. Well, first off, China isn't a leader in chips. That's why the U.S. is not allowing China to have chips from the U.S., and that is hurting Chinese businesses like Huawei. So this idea that if you want to go do chips, you're going to go up against the South Koreans, the Japanese.
No,
and the
we can go to
Americans.
Taiwan's
The Chinese are at the middle
semicomputers.
level.
We can go to the
So,
Taiwanese chip
and-
manufacturers.
You can but my point is you can buy from them, but I thought you wanted to have an indigenous development of technology, and that takes a lot of money to do that. And quite frankly, many of the things that you quote buy, all right, that have a Chinese label on them, like Oppo and etc. They're actually a large percentage of it is made in Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, America. They're just assembled. So there is a possibility for India to do that, and I don't think China is opposed to it.
Okay.
There's a natural development.
Rahul,
China is
can I
trying to climb the value chain,
Can
and
I-
hopefully India will too.
Can I show our viewers how China is using social media, especially the social media companies and platforms which are owned by Chinese companies, to flood India at this time with pro-PLA, which is the People's Liberation Army, the Chinese army, propaganda, which is also in a way a form of psyop, psychological operations, trying to mess with the mind. Because if you're, for example, on one of these apps like TikTok and you keep seeing Chinese troop movements, etc., it kind of has an impact on the psyche of people where they start wondering what's going on. Take a look at how China has been engaging in digital warfare.
Flexing its military muscles on multiple fronts. But that's not all about China's aggressive show of strength amid the pandemic. The Asian powerhouse has unleashed another warfare on a different battlefield: social media. The Chinese establishment has mounted a massive network of coordinated propaganda across Twitter, Facebook, and homegrown assets operating in the mainland. A New York-based intelligence firm, Graphica, has recently published a report suggesting how Beijing is using social media to influence public opinion across the world on topics sensitive to the Chinese establishment. Titled "Spamouflage Dragon," the report discovered a flood of fake messages. Sampled this post on a Chinese platform claiming Indian troops have intruded into Chinese territory. And then there's a video clip of the 1962 conflict. The motive is clear: provoking nationalistic sentiments. International security experts have already warned China's military buildup at Ladakh poses a real threat of escalation.
I think what the Chinese are trying to do is establish new facts on the ground. By pushing troops and material to the limits of their claim lines, they want to change the status quo in ways that will advantage them. And they're doing it at a time when they are under pressure because of their performance in the COVID crisis.
China's massive propaganda operation appears to be in sync with its war preparedness. A call for which was given by its president earlier this week.
If you look at the larger picture, I think India, where our dependence on Chinese hardware is almost 80 to 90%, where 90% of Indian mobile phones are today manufactured in China, routers are manufactured in China. So we have to be very careful that what data are we making available to these Chinese application companies which can be stolen from your mobile phones. What opportunities are we giving to this hardware company like Xiaomi and ZTE in the telecom sector, where they can sabotage your critical infrastructure?
China isn't spamming social media with India-related fake news alone. Independent digital investigations show a lot of propaganda material is being pumped on various platforms to defend the use of excessive police force in last year's Hong Kong riots. Photoshopped images like these are under investigation by Australian authorities after they emerged on social media, showing Australian police supporting action in Hong Kong.
चाइना कैसे नहीं मान रहा है? नहीं मतलब चिप चाप लिए जा रहे हैं तो कुछ भी भेजे जा रही है. पहले अपना अजीनोमोटो वाला खाना बेच के के हमारी आते खराब कराई, फिर सस्ता फोन और टिकटॉक बेच के हमारा यूथ बर्बाद कर दिया, फिर ये कोरोना भेज के पूरा देश बंद करा दिया, और अब सब धीरे धीरे सही हो ही रहा तो इन्हें हमारी जमीन चाहिए। मैं वेलकम पिक्चर वाले डॉक्टर घुंगरू के अल्फाजों में पूछना चाहूंगी कि तेरा बाप इधर छोड़ के गया था या तेरी माँ?
But Beijing isn't comfortable with anything anti-China. Not even jokes, at least not on TikTok. Posted by mimicry artist Saloni Gaur, better known as Nazma Api, this clip was taken down by the Chinese short-form video app within a day. Remember, vested interests have generously used TikTok to exploit religious sentiments in India during the virus lockdown, till the Indian government asked the platform to moderate its content. Google's threat analysis group has removed 1,000 YouTube channels linked to Chinese propaganda, but the disinformation campaign seems deeply entrenched. With Ankit Kumar, Bureau Report, India Today.
Which is why you simply cannot afford to trust the Chinese at a time when armies are locked in confrontation, at a time when they can turn up the propaganda heat at any point in time. You simply cannot afford to be entirely dependent on the Chinese. You have to build your own capacities, back your ability to build the products. The Chinese built it over time, and India too can do the same and more. If this was a friendly country, you can be friends with them. Despite all our friendly overtures, all we've got is a dragon with a glass shred in his hand, and the only way to deal with the dragon is by staring him back in the eye and say, you messed with us, we take you down. On that note, I want to thank all the guests who joined us on this broadcast. Most of all, Sonam Wangchuk for having initiated this campaign. We're backing this campaign wholeheartedly, and we'll track what happens. Ultimately, the government may or may not be able to say some of this. It's down to us, the people of India, to say we will not buy made in China products, because the one thing that the Chinese government is most worried about is instability in China. And a lot of the reason they've been able to keep their country united and reasonably happy is because they've been growing. The moment not just India but people across the world start boycotting Chinese products, that will begin to pinch Xi Jinping and his Communist Boys Club. Thank you for tuning in.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.